Hi, it's Mark again. Hi there. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to look at tables in this video tutorial. Microsoft Access provides us with a table once you create your database. So the database that I've got here is called College. I've just saved it in my documents at the moment. I've saved it in Documents, and we've got a college.accdb Access database, and at the moment it's in Access 2007 to 2016 file format for Access. So the table that we've got at the moment just begins with an ID. You begin with a unique reference, for example. Now, the button I'm going to bring your attention to, which I will constantly refer back to all the time, which we really need to see, is the View button. Now, depending upon where you are, depends upon the view. Now, we can also access table design from here, so we can design the table. No matter where you are, if you see the button there, you can go from the datasheet view, which is what we see at the moment, for input and viewing or editing data itself, or we can go to the design view. Now, the design view will allow us to start developing fields and explain what we want for those fields. We'll tell Access. So the first thing is that it asks for is for us to name the table. Now, this table I'm just going to call Students, and I'll click on OK. That then provides us with the table Students. Now, it's shown here as well, we can close tables from here. We can have more than one table, and you can go between them if you wanted to. The first thing by default it does is it puts a primary key on. Now, a primary key is a field that has a unique identifier. So at the moment, it's come up by default, it's come up with ID. Now, what we can have a student ID. The data type, so the field name are listed down. The data type is listed down next to the field name, and we can also put a description in, which is just for us and anyone looking at the construction of the table and looking at what the fields are and what they do. So what we'll do is we'll say here code unique to each student. Then what we'll do is come down another field. We'll just click on the field, and this one we can call first name. Now you notice I've not put spaces in with the field names. It's not good practice to use spaces, on the basis that if we were to use another database and we want to take the data somewhere else, then what will happen is it could actually look at first space name as being two field names because of the space. There are other ways that we can work with this. Primary key, by the way, the primary key is an on and off switch. You can have more than one primary key. Not normal to have that, just for a flat file database, there'd be no real need. So we can use the tab key here as well. So if we tab across, we now come to the data type, and this is where I'm going to explain some of the data types here. So this one is short text. Down the bottom, we will see we've got a general tab and we've got a lookup tab. Just working on the general tab just now. So the general tab for this, 255 characters. Now, we're not going to use 255 characters for a first name, for example. So the first name, we can actually reduce that. And we can say, well, nobody's really going to have a first name. You do have to think, what's the maximum size that we're going to go to, because we do want to limit it to cut down the size of a database so that it's not too much there. You also don't want people making mistakes and errors and so on. So the field size, but you don't want it too small either. If you have it too wee, it just means that it cuts data off. You're not able to get them. If you're changing a field that already has data in it, so for example, if we had a table and we've got something within the table, well, if you change that and we made this say 25 characters long. What if someone has got a first name that's 30 characters long? You've just cut 5 characters off. It does come up with a warning, but it's just to make sure that you are aware of this. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail at the moment. I'm just going to build this table. But I need to make you know of the first part of the general. So the field size 25, the format, we're going to get text anyway. Input mask and caption. Input mask is if you wanted to limit how someone can actually input something. A little bit more advanced at the moment, we'll just keep it this. The caption, because we have first no space name, what we can do in a caption is we can put first name in there. There's no default value for this because we wouldn't want to prejudge anyone's first name, for example. Validation rules, validation text is all to do with restriction on the data that can go in. Required means whether you require an input in the database. So if someone is inputting, normally if they can't think of somebody's first name, they'll just leave it blank. If you say yes, they'll make something up anyway. The user will always try and find a way around any limitations. However, if you think that it's a field that is a must, then you would want that required to say yes. And also allow zero length. Well, if you're going to allow them to put nothing in, then yes, it means that they don't have to put something in, or they can just put 0. That means it's required, but they can just put a 0 in. Indexed. Index just means that it was held in a nice wee sort of database behind the scenes for easy access, and you wouldn't want every single field. If I go back to this primary key field, student ID, then what we'll see here is there's new values. We've not got any caption. Indexed, yes. And it's saying no duplicates because it's a primary key. It's unique. So we can go through and we can build this up. So we'll then have surname. And again, we can reduce that down. No one's really going to have a huge surname. And this one here, what we can do is we can then move on to other things such as date of birth. So here we go with the data type. So we have a look at the data types. So the data types that are available to us are short text, long text, which is longer than 255 characters, numbers, large numbers, date and time, the currency, and you can choose the currencies, auto numbers, which we've got for the student ID as well. We can also have a true or false, a yes or no. We can also embed, so it's object linking, embedding objects in. We'll also have hyperlinks such as email addresses, web addresses. We can also attach other files, and we can have a calculated field as well. So it'll calculate something out for us, add things up, multiply and so on, and a lookup wizard, which means that we can get something from somewhere else. However, I'm just going to keep it very simple just now. So we get DOB, and then the next one we can have enrolled, so that we know if they're enrolled or not. So this one here will make a yes or no. The default value is no. So if we look down the bottom, you've got the format as a yes or no. There's no caption. We could put a caption in here and we could say enrolled and put a question mark in. We wouldn't have a question mark in a field for computing reasons. So that's us starting to build something. You then save it. So click on save and that's it done. So that's the table. To view the table, we can change the view. Remember the view button, and me saying that, you can go from datasheet view to design view, datasheet view, and this is for input. So we've got the field names, and you can see that it's captioned. So we get a space for first name, and we get a question mark for enrolled. A tick box for the yes or no. Thanks for watching.